morning, everybody. The name at the bottom says Diane Hall. If you've been here before, you know I'm not Diane Hall. I'm Sheila Holm, and I am with ARP Missouri as well. Diane could not make it today, so I am her sub. So I'd like to welcome you back to Movement for Life. As Tyler indicated, it is our 5th week of a 6-week program. This particular program is part of our Moving It Fitness series, and the great thing is good for all ages, all levels, as many of you know. So, and following this class, we are going to have yoga for all that Tyler is going to be doing. So make sure to sign up for that if you've not done so already. In addition, we have some other programs that we offer as part of the Moving It series. They are Forever Fit and also Zumba Light. Zumba Light is going on right now, and Forever Fit will follow it. So all of our programming is designed truly for people 50 plus in mind. So, but again, good for anyone, anywhere. So if you want to learn more about these opportunities, you can go to arp.org/moving it. And also we have a sweepstakes. So we're going to be giving away a couple Fitbit Versas, Versa 3s. And actually next week, Tyler's going to announce our next monthly drawing winner. So yeah, woohoo! And so that's going to be a set of hand weights and a mat, so that we will just ship right directly to you. So very cool. So we also, think of these workshop programs or these fitness programs as an opportunity for those that could not participate in fitness programs otherwise, whether you're caregiving or you don't want to get out during this time, but also for those that maybe don't drive. This is a great opportunity for you to stay fit, stay flexible, keep moving. And one other thing, if you want to check out some of our other programs, we do programs on COVID, technology, a variety of things. You can go to arp.org/near you, and that will get you to programming that's in your community. Versus if you live in Kansas City, find stuff St. Louis, Cape Girardeau, that kind of stuff. So, okay, so if you haven't joined us before, let's make sure you're all set up in Zoom. And I think most of you are. Everybody's muted, which is Yahoo. Good job, you guys.
Awesome.
I know, right? So you want to make sure that you've pinned Tyler. So you can go to the 3 dots in your upper right corner. Of course, I use my hands all the time. So you just click on that, and then you can find pin, and you can click that and click, see, look, I pinned myself, not good. And so you can pin Tyler. So, and let's see, anything else? I don't think there's anything else. Tyler, I am going to give it to you. Let's start moving.
All right, awesome sauce. Thank you so much, Sheila. Welcome, everybody. Hi, good to see you. Welcome back. So let's get started. We'll start standing like we always do. Bring your feet about hips distance or even shoulders distance apart. I want you to feel very stable in your base and allow your mind to connect to your feet. Allow your awareness to connect to your feet. You might find some little rocking movements back and forth just to allow the feet to stretch out. Think about a cat making biscuits and really let the feet connect to the earth. Then find stillness in your body. You can bring your eye gaze down to the floor, take it off the screen, and just listen to my voice for a moment. Take your awareness inside and feel the bottoms of your feet on the ground. Find your big toe mound. Find your piggy toe mound. Find your heel. And just notice if the weight is distributed rather evenly between those 3 spots. And if it's not, see if you can make some tiny little adjustments so you have the weight evenly distributed. From there, have a soft bend in the knees. Notice the tendency to lock out the knees. And then shift the weight to the outsides of your feet. Shift the weight to the insides of your feet. Now, being mindful about balance, shift the weight back into the heels as much as you can tolerate and still remain standing, which means don't fall down. And then shift your weight into the balls of your feet, in your toes, in the balls of your feet. And then go back and find that balanced area where the weight is evenly distributed once again. And one little mindful exercise that you can do is just notice where you live in your body, notice where you live in your feet. And when you arrive to do your workout or your fitness, find that squareness. Let's find activation in the legs. And people asked about the corkscrew of the hips, so I'm going to revisit it. First thing I'm going to ask you to do is pretend like you're crushing the mat or the floor under you. So your feet don't move at all. They don't change the relationship to one another, but you're crushing the floor underneath. And maybe you feel the muscles on the insides of your legs turn on. Release that sensation of crushing. Now tear the ground apart as if you're pushing your feet away, but they don't move. Maybe you feel some muscles on the outside of your hips turning on. So we're trying to recruit more muscle as we stand. We want to work harder at standing. So now I want you to pretend like your right foot is on a jar lid, and I want you to turn that jar lid clockwise, like you're screwing on a pickle jar lid. Take your left foot, screw it counterclockwise, soft bend in the knees here. And did you notice, did your glute muscles turn on? Or does that allow you to connect to your glute muscles and turn them on a little bit? Now you should feel a little bit more stable in your lower body. From here, lengthen through the spine, lengthen through the crown of the head. Good. If your arms and shoulders feel okay, let's bring them up just to shoulder height. Some of you might just go right there with me. If you have a shoulder injury, you're just going to go right there. Others, you can bring your arms up over your head and reach. It just depends on what your shoulders want to do today. So whether you just take it halfway up or all the way up. Now I want you to play around with the relationship of corkscrewing your feet, feeling stability in the hips as you reach the arms up and overhead. Notice the duality of feeling grounded in the feet, but feeling length through the fingertips, through the crown of the head, through the spine. Inhale here. Exhale your arms down. So connecting the breath to this work. We don't want to hold our breath when we move. Inhale the arms up. Fill up with the biggest breath of the day. Exhale out through your mouth. Sigh it all out. One more time. Inhale the arms up. Reach, 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 reach. Let's take a bind up here. So grab your, don't go to your knees right now. Don't do it. Grab your elbows. You can grab your hands overhead, or if you have a shoulder injury, just keep your hands right here. And then I want you to pull your rib cage up out of your pelvic bowl. Good. Stretch, lengthen, create space in your body. If your shoulders come up to your ears a little bit here, then that's okay. Make sure you're breathing here, and then notice how stable you feel in your hips. You're not going to fall over because you've recruited all of that muscle through torque as you're standing here. Exhale your arms down to your sides. Good morning. Bring your hands to the chest. We're going to start with our cervical spine. Draw your chin down to your chest. Keep the shoulders out of the ears. Still keep a slight bend in the knees and the active legs. Now lift your eye gaze up. The chin is going to lift up. The throat is going to open, but don't throw your head back on the back of your body. Looking up at the ceiling. One more time, draw the chin down to the chest. Move nice and slowly. It's the journey, not the destination. So notice the stretch you get as the chin goes to the chest, the eye gaze goes down. And then once again, lift the chin up, lift the gaze up, looking at the ceiling, opening up the front of the throat, taking the head up as much as it feels good. Bring your head back to central, back to neutral. This time, I want you to just rotate and look over one shoulder to the opposite wall and take the rotation as far as it can go, but you can maintain your chest forward, your shoulders out of your ears. Bring your rotation back to center. You're going to look at the screen, look at me. You can put your hands on your chest to make sure your chest doesn't rotate, and then look over the opposite shoulder. Take your gaze or your rotation as far as it feels safe in your body. You can challenge your edge a little bit here, and then take your eye gaze back to center one more time on each side. Look over that original shoulder and only pushing as deep into the pose as it feels safe to you. You are your own coach and teacher. You are the most important voice to listen to. Bring your eye gaze back to center. I'm here to offer suggestions, but you have the ultimate say in what you do. And then look over the opposite shoulder. And then bring your eye gaze back to center. So we moved our cervical spine, our neck into flexion and extension and rotation. Now, let's move into lateral flexion. Right ear comes down to right shoulder. Take your fists as if you're taking swords. Drive them into the ground. Take your opposite cheek, the one that's not close to the shoulder, and pull that up and away. So feel length. Take a breath into this. Drop your chin to your chest, slide into the knees, and switch over to the other side. Other ear over to the other shoulder. Opposite cheek pulls up and away, shoulders are down and away. Keep thinking lengthen the cervical spine and all of this work. Chin down, bend the knees, switch. Start in your first side. Energy in the arms, isometric hold as the fists point down to the ground. Chin to the chest, bend the knees. Opposite side. Driving your swords into the ground, which takes the shoulders out of your ears. Chin down, bend the knees. Now listen, it's going to change here. Let's start on that original side. We're going to bring our ear to our shoulder. Now find rotation. Take your chin and rotate it up to the ceiling toward that opposite shoulder. So now we have lateral flexion with rotation. Looking over to the side wall, the side that's opposite the shoulder that the ear is down to, and then bring the eye gaze back to front. Drop your chin down, bend the knees, take your ear over to the opposite shoulder, establish your lateral flexion, and then begin to add your rotation. Rotating and looking over the opposite shoulder. It's kind of at the ceiling where the wall meets the ceiling that you're looking at. And then bring your eye gaze back to center, chin down, and come back to center. We're going to go right into neck glides. So bring your chin back into your back position. We'll go forward and down, up and back. Now take lateral glides, left glide and right glide, or just side to side. Try to keep your shoulders really, really still. Beautiful, guys. Shoulders are still, hips are still. And then let's go right into our circle. So bringing your chin into your back position, over to a side, front and down position, over to the opposite side, back, over. Remember, the chin is front and down, not chicken pecking forward. And then glide out and find the edges of your circle, working through all those little pops and cracks, as long as it's noisy, but it's not painful. Pause. Let's go in the other direction. Back position, new direction. So kind of hit those four corners. Remember, the chin is forward and down in the front. And then find your glides in the other direction. Or circles, I should say. Big circles in the other direction. Great work, you guys. Nice job. Keeping your bodies nice and still. Good work. All right. Bring the shoulders up into the ears, shrug, and bring them down. And imagine as you do this work, your shoulder blades are gliding up the ribs in the back and then gliding down the ribs in the back. So we want to have nice movement in our shoulder blades, our scapula. Make fists. And then strengthen or lengthen out through the arms, chasing shoulders. One shoulder, elevate, bring it to the back position, pack it down, and then on the other side, elevate, back and down. Right and left. Think about the wheels of an engine of a train, those bars that connect the wheels. Good job. Now, work really hard as you do this to pay attention to your elbows. I see some people kind of working here. I really want you to find that full fascial tension, hug your muscles to your bones, and then isolate the work just to the shoulders. I know you're probably going to get tired here, so let's just pause for a minute, shake it out, give the shoulders a break, go right into the elbows. So we're going to bring our fists and our thumbs to our ears, then open up, close our fists back down to the floor, thumbs to the ears, rotate open, and then once you've got that pattern, you can just move a little bit more fluidly. So just bring your awareness to your elbows and feel the elbows kind of rotating and moving in the body, and imagine that you're bringing synovial fluid into the joint of the elbow, and you're just giving it some love right now. It's okay to recognize body parts and send good thoughts their way. Let's pause right here with the wrists up, the arms open. Make a bicep curl for me. Show me your big muscles. And then punch the arms through. Open up, wrists, muscles here, and then punch the arms through. Great work. And then start to move a little bit more fluidly, a little bit more quickly, just getting your elbow circles in this direction. And notice if you're using your shoulders here. So I see a couple sets of shoulders going up and down. See if you can try to keep the movement isolated just to the elbow. So we're becoming aware of our joints and how to isolate those joints. Let's just go right into the wrists. And I kind of want you to do this little out and in motion in the wrists. Now bring the elbows in and keep it more to the wrists, just the wrists. Shoulders are out of it, elbows are out of it. Being able to isolate joints in the body. Now we're going to pause here. I'm going to grab the 4 fingers, not the palm, but the 4 fingers. Keep my shoulder in pack and then just allow the forearm to stretch out as I bring the wrist back. And pretend like you're Superman and you're shooting your web out of your wrist, so have some of that energy. You can come out of it and go right back into it. Keep that shoulder in pack. Notice a tendency to let the shoulder drift forward while you do it, so try to avoid that. Now listen, let's change it. Just your pinky finger and your 4th finger. Just do those 2 fingers and notice how the stretch changes. It's a little bit more in the fingers. Make sure you're breathing, release, come out of it, and then go right into those 2 fingers again. Release, come out of it. Now change it. Go to your middle finger and your index finger, just those 2. Keep your shoulder in pack, down out of the ear. Try not to bring the shoulder up in the ear because you're kind of maybe avoiding the pain or the sensation. Come out of it and then go right back into it one more time. And then notice if you want more sensation, you just straighten out the elbow and that gives you a little bit more sensation, but you don't move the shoulder. Good, release. Let it go in that hand, taking it to the other hand. Grab the 4 fingers, shoulders in pack, bringing the hand back as much as it feels good to you. Remember, you're your own coach. You're your own guide here. Let's come out of it and go right back into those fingers. Find it again. Maybe some little adjustments here. Hopefully you're getting some nice stretch in the forearms. We'll come out of it, change to the pinky finger and the ring finger, just those 2 fingers. And notice how that sensation feels differently. I get a whole new feeling right in my forearm when I just go with the 2 fingers. So we'll go 2 little pulls back, and then we'll switch to middle finger and index finger. So keeping the shoulder in pack, keeping the arm as straight as that feels good to you, and then release, whoo, let it go. So hopefully you got some nice stretches in your arms, which is a nice counter if you keyboard or use your hands in these small movements all day. Let's go into A-OK. So thumb, index finger, then stack your fingers, and then peel them apart one at a time. Circle your hands around like you have 2 big ice cream cones. How delicious. Summer's right around the corner. Let me not cut my head off. And then go right back into your A-OKs. And then right back into your ice cream cones. And notice the rotation in the wrist as you go from A-OK, spin around, ice cream cones, and then just have fun with it. Now, get big. Pretend like you're on stage. This is a Shakespeare sonnet with these hand motions. Preach it to the back of the stage and feel all those little sensations and movements in the fingers. Awesome sauce, you guys. Great work. And shake it out. Okay, we're going to go back to the shoulders. We're going to do shoulder screws. I don't believe we did them last week. So in our hands, we have these pretend daggers or these pretend swords. They're going out to the sides. And we start with one arm. We're going to elevate it and then rotate down. So now your thumb is down to the ground, pack it down the back, and look over the opposite arm. Stretch, stretch, reach, reach, reach. Feel that rotation, that downward motion. Come back up and out of it. Reset and go to the other side. Elevate, rotate down, look over the opposite arm, reach and pull. So we're working our rotator cuff. Unscrew out of it. And then back to our original side. Elevate, rotate down, pack and reach, look over opposite arm. So when we look over the opposite arm, we're getting our neck in a little rotation, come out of it. And then elevate, rotate, down, pack, over, and reach. Now listen, it's going to change here. So come back up to the center, bring your arms down to the side. You know that as we move down the spine, we go into a hip root, right? So that's when our hips kind of go about 90 degrees to the back corner of the room. and we hip root, right? We've done this before. So now we're just going to be more efficient. We're going to add a hip root to our shoulder screw. So let's get the arms out. Right arm, elevate, rotate, pack, and then send a hip root as you look over the opposite arm. Reach, 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 arms apart. Stand back up and tall, unpack, other side. Elevate, rotate, pack, hip root, look over the opposite arm. So whatever side you're gazing to, the hips are pushing back in the opposite direction. And then unwind out of that. One more time, a little quicker. Elevate, rotate, pack, hip root, gaze, reach, and stretch. Come out of that, thumb to the bam. Elevate, rotate, pack, hip root, look over the other side. All right, so let that go. So now you got hip roots and shoulder screws all into one workout. Just swing your arms, let one arm come on top and then the other arm come on top as you just let the blood flow through the arms. All right, thoracic spine. Okay, now we're going to get into the section of our spine that's associated with our rib cage. We do this one all the time, so you're going to bring your hands together, you're going to shoot your arms out in front, drop your chin to your chest, and this is the one where our back ribs open up. Are they round to the back of the room? Our heart moves into the back space of our ribs, or shoulder blades open. That was a lot of information. So just pause and breathe into this. So your gaze is down here. Now lift your gaze, look at the screen, open up your arms. Here we go. This is our big virtual hug. This goes out to all of you. We're going to share our hugs with each other. Lift the eye gaze up just a little bit, up on top of your TV, like you're on the Titanic, right? You're on the very front of the Titanic. Oh, maybe that's a terrible metaphor. Let's bring our hands back together and then shoot and round. And notice that stretch that you get between the shoulder blades, sort of in the upper back. If you hold tension there, this could feel good to you. Notice that your shoulder blades are separated right now. They're moving laterally. When you open up the arms and lift the gaze, feel how the shoulder blades come together. Like if I stuck a pencil in between them, you could almost squeeze the shoulder blades together and hold that pencil. One last time, shoot and round. This time you could take a little squat if you wanted to. Like you're going to sit in a chair, but you stop, shoot and round. Keep that sit in a chair, open up your arms. Like you're just going to go into a big hug or your big Karate Kid eagle, and then come to standing. I'm watching Cobra Kai, so there's my Karate Kid references. Okay, we're going to add on to this one today. I know your shoulders. Let's stay out of the shoulders a minute. My shoulders are a little work, so I bet yours are too. Let's just go into our sassy spine. So that's our anterior pelvic tilt. So we're working in the lumbar spine now, the lower part of the back. And then we're going to tuck and find our cashew shape. And then just move from sassy into cashew. And as you move that, what you're imagining in your mind is your pelvis. And you want to be able to rotate and tilt your pelvis. So sometimes our pelvis is just stuck. And then notice some common mistakes when you do this is as you're trying to rotate your pelvis, you're bringing your shoulders forward. That's not happening. Our shoulders are staying still and we're just isolating the pelvis. Sometimes people go down below into the knees and they're trying to use their knees to get their pelvis to go. Just isolate the pelvis. And then let's pause there. Let's just hike up the hip on one side and then hike up the hip on the other side. And you might get kind of a stretch in your IT band or some other stabilizing muscles on your hips. Yeah, it's a little bit of sassy hip to the side, sassy side hip. I just made that one up. Okay, great. Now let's come back to center and go to that new glide I was going to teach you today. This time your hands are bladed, so your fingers together, so you have energy all the way out the fingertips. Arms go out to the side, corkscrew the hips, soft bend in the knees, feel the stability of the hips. And I want you to glide over and reach. Notice your hips don't travel because you're grounded. And then glide over the other direction and reach. We're going to do this just a couple of times. So notice the side body stretch that you get here. Glide over and reach, pause. Breathe into that side body, into that rib cage that you're stretching. And then glide over and pause. Now, we're going to add on. Let's go back to the original place. We brought our top arm up and over. Remember, if you have a shoulder injury, just bring your top arm across your chest. If you don't have a shoulder injury, up and over. And then the arm comes down, glide. Top arm goes up and over. If you have a shoulder injury, it doesn't. And then glide. Now listen, we're going to add on. Pause over here with me. If you have a shoulder injury, bring both hands here. If not, come over and bind. Take a bind. Now, listen, your torso is going to rotate down to the floor. Squeeze your glutes and draw your belly button in to protect the low back during this rotation. This is a new one. Now rotate your torso back up to the screen. You're still in a lateral bend. Keep squeezing the glutes. Keep the belly button in. Remember, it's the journey, not the destination. Keep rotating up toward the ceiling. Keep squeezing glutes. And then bring your rotation back to center one more time. Rotating your trunk, your eye gaze, everything down to the floor. Back up to the screen. And rotating your chest, your heart, your eye gaze up to the ceiling. Come back to center. And if you take your hands off, we're right where we started. Awesome sauce. Come over to the other side. Same idea. Take the bind that feels safe in your body and your shoulders. Think about your rib cage rotating like a globe. So draw the belly button into the spine, rotate your globe, your chest, your rib cage down to the floor. Your eye gaze is down on the floor. Rotate back up to the screen. You can see me, we can see each other, and then rotate your chest up. That's that vulnerable spot, so stay connected. Keep the glutes turned on, the low belly turned on. Right back to the screen. One more time, rotating down in lateral flexion. Rotating back up to the ceiling in this lateral flexion. And then back to where we started. Arms come out, ba-bam, ba-bam. Good job. Let's take our hands right to our thighs. Come into a little bit of a squat here. And notice when you come into a squat, a tendency when we squat, notice this pattern in your body, is if when you squat, the knees are the first thing that go forward. So we want to avoid squatting with the knees going forward first. What you want to do is pull your booty back a little bit. That's the first action of a squat. It's that hip hinge, pulling the booty back, and then sitting down. Notice my knees are a little bit more stacked on my ankles. We did all the squat work, and I can't remember even what we're going to do here. So we'll just hang out in this squat here for a second while I figure out what we're going to do. Press your hands into the sphere of tension. Now find your heels, press up and stand nice and tall. Squeeze your glutes at the top. And now tear the ground apart a little bit with your feet. Tear the ground apart. Pull your hips back into that tiny little squat. And then press and stand up. One more time. Pull the ground apart with your feet. Send your hips back. Pause. Notice the angle of my shin is similar to the angle of my torso. So if your torso is here, you're not doing a squat. You want to keep your chest lifted. Press to the heels. And come back up to standing. Good stuff. Let's shift our weight over to one foot and work on our hip isolation work. You can use a wall here for balance or a chair if you want to do that for your balance. So what's more important here, since this is not a balance exercise, is that you maintain the balance so you can isolate the hip. We will do a balance exercise at the end of class. So take your weight and put it into one foot. Keep that soft bend in the knee and that little corkscrew in the hip. And then maybe keep one hand on the torso to make sure you're just isolating the femur head and the hip socket here. Now I'm touching the ground each time, which is helping me have more balance. If you would like to lift the knee and do this with your foot off the floor, that's fine, but make sure you're not rotating in your torso as you do this. Here's another option. Put the toe down, bring the knee up and down. Internal rotation, up, out, and down. External rotation. Up, out, and down. Internal rotation. Oops, I turned my torso. Up, out, and down. External rotation. Pause with me here. Find external rotation wherever you are. Now, bring your foot forward like you're going to kick a ball. Keep your external rotation, bring your foot back behind. Feel the glutes turn on back there. Couple more times, swing forward. Notice if you lean back, try to stay upright, and then bring your foot back. Try not to change your spine as you bring the foot back. Couple more times, forward and back. Come to forward, turn your foot into internal rotation now. Same thing, sweep it back. Now notice when you go back, you can start to arch your spine to get higher. I don't want you to do that. Keep elongation, keep symmetry in the spine, and then sweep forward, sweep it back, and sweep it forward. One more time back, and place your foot down. How's that opposite leg feel, huh? You did a lot of work on that opposite leg, a lot of strengthening, whether or not you were asking for help from a chair or a wall. Let's switch sides. So the leg you were just working, put it down on the ground. Find your activation, soft bend in the knee, peeling up that other leg. And we'll just start by, oh, Donna, okay, hi, Andrew. Donna, I hope, type Donna if you didn't get your audio back. I just read that chat. Otherwise, here we are. Just waking up the hip in the socket. And then you can begin, okay, great, thanks. And then you can begin to lift and lower. Lift and lower. Good. And you might hear or feel some little pops and cracks as long as you don't have any pain. That's fine. Let's pause in this external rotation. Remember your balance leg, soft bend in the knee. Oh, we have a cat joining us today. Good, cats need mobility too. Kick your foot forward and then bring your foot back behind. Feel the glute turn on and bring it forward. Yeah, we make biscuits. I make biscuits. I take my lead from cats. I live in a house full of cats. And then one more time, like you're kicking a ball. I'm a former soccer player, so this feels very natural to me. And then we're going to come to internal rotation and then sweep it up and sweep it back. Sweep it up, sweep it back, sweep it up. Oh yeah, I know what I want to do. Just hit me and back. And then come to standing. Bring your feet as close together as you can, but still feel balanced. And then try to zip up inner thighs, knees, quads, and then come to that squat that we were going to come into. Place your hands right on your thighs, and then start to just draw. Think about the knees leading this, and draw circles around the feet. And then notice how the feet peel up off the ground. So can you go back to the big toe, piggy toe mound, and heel? Try to keep the feet grounded in the ground, but then challenge the size of the circle that you're making with your knee. Pause, and then take your circle in the other direction, being mindful about the placement of the feet on the ground, and then just noticing how this feels in your knees. So we're putting our knees in all these different little orientations that we might get ourselves into as we're climbing in and out of cars. And we're just testing our strength and our response to the knees in these different orientations. And then let's come back to standing. Great stuff, guys. Let's give our ankles a little bit of work. We might go back to our balance chair again. Take our balance into that first foot that we did when we worked our hip, and then just point and flex our ankles a little bit here. Or point our toes, and then draw our toes back to our shin. So point the toes down, draw the toes back to the shin, and then rotate the toes in and out. So try to isolate this just to the ankle. Notice if you're moving, and I see a few hips moving here. So try to keep the hips still, the knee still. If you can just hold on your knee and keep it still. Just isolate the ankle, and then start to find some deep, juicy ankle circles, just like we do on our neck glides with our head. Find a big circle in the ankle, and then take it the other direction. Waking up the ankles, trying to connect to more of the body through this movement, and then pause, bring your ankle down. We'll switch to the other side. So lifting the opposite forward, just waking up the ankle, point and flex a little bit here. Notice when you stand it on this opposite leg, did you lock out your knee for stability, or can you have a soft bend and go into the muscles? So you can stack the bones for stability, but you can also get more into the muscles. Try to go in and out. So the big toe comes in, then the piggy toe leads you out. Big toe leads you in, piggy toe leads you out. Now big toe in and down, big toe in and up. Piggy toe goes down, piggy toe goes up, and then start to move that into some big juicy circles. Maybe about 3 or 4 circles in one direction. And then 3 or 4 circles in the other direction. Ba-ba-da-ba. Bingo. All right, guys, good job. We went from head to toe in our mobility, but we've got time left in class. And it's balance time. And I promised you a new challenge. If you'd like to keep yourself close to a wall, you can do that. Or you can work in the middle of the room. So we talked about our squat. So I just want you to come into a slight little squat. So in yoga, we might call this a chair pose, like you're going to sit down in a chair. You can bring your hands right to your chest. And if you press into your hands, you can feel your shoulder pack in some dynamic tension. From here, can you shift your weight onto one foot by peeling the opposite heel up and just having your toe touch the ground like a little kickstand? Can you lift the toe and tap in front of you and then come back? Can you tap out to the side and come back? Can you tap back behind you and come back? Now this is the tough one. Can you tap like a curtsy and come back? Good work. Let's come off that leg, switch it up. Find our chair pose, shift our balance into the other leg, peel that heel up, come to the toe for a little kickstand, feel the connection between the heel and the glute of your balancing leg, and then let's tap out in front and back, tap out to the side and back, tap back and return, and then curtsy behind and tap. Awesome, good job. So now you know where we're going with this exercise. We're gonna do it again, but we're gonna build on it a little bit. So it's important when you're balancing that you have a drishti or an eye gaze. There's a focal point where you wanna laser focus your attention and stare at that object so your brain can triangulate and help you stay up. So this time you know exactly where we're going in the drill. So I want you to avoid looking at the screen where there's movement, and I want you to look for your drishti in the room that you're working in. So let's come to our chair pose, hands come to our prayer. Listening to my voice, finding your drishti, shift the weight over into your original foot that you're balancing on, peel the opposite foot up, find your kickstand. Continuing to breathe as we balance, pick up your pointer toes and tap to the space in front of you. Keep your eye on your drishti and tap back to center. When you're ready, you can take your toe and tap it out to the side and then bring it back to center. When you're ready, you can tap behind, bring it back to center, and then behind like a curtsy, opposite side, back to center. And then shift your weight. Notice for a moment if you did better with your balance when you had your drishti, your eye gaze. So that's an important component of balance. We'll shift our weight, find your drishti or your eye gaze, get nice and tall out of this, pull your opposite foot up so you're just balancing on your toes, and with laser focus on your eye gaze, take those toes and tap out in front, bring them back, over to the side. When you're ready, bring them back. Don't let my voice move you. You move back behind when you feel ready, tap into the front or to the middle section, and then back like a curtsy and to the center. And then bring your heel down, pedal through your feet. Awesome sauce. So that's our balance challenge. Last week we were working on this rotation with both feet down. We started to move into this single leg balance. If you'd like to try, here's a way to elevate it. If that was an easy challenge for you and you want more challenge, we're going to do this drill one more time. chair pose. Hands come to prayer. Weight comes into your original leg. Peel your toes up. Now you have an option to tap the ground in front of you, but not put your toe back down in the center. Tap the ground out to the side, but not bring your toe back down. Tap back behind, but not bring your toe back down. And then reach across. So that's how you elevate it. Don't feel like you have to go there, but that's something that you can work toward. We'll try that in the other foot. Establishing your balance. Good. Notice how much the core plays a role in our balance. So think about working from the core. So take this lower abdominal space and then create some tension so that you feel lightness out of this planting leg. Hands come to prayer. You're in your chair pose. Option 2, try to float the leg in between each tap or just tap the ground under you each time. Final time here. Back behind like a curtsy. And then come to standing. Great work, guys. Awesome. So let's finish today's work with a little bit of toe work. I have this really cool toe cam set up for you guys so you can see my toes. I'll set up my toe cam next week. It's just a little clunky switching between cameras. But you're going to stand on the ground, soften the knees. Let's go back to pedaling our feet, feeling our feet into the ground. And the first thing I want you to notice, do you feel a little bit more connected to the ground after doing that work today? Maybe connected just because your awareness, your sense of awareness is more heightened. Good. From here, you can use your hands out in front of you. Can you lift all 10 toes up in the air and spread your toes apart? Place your toes back down on the ground. 2 more times. Lift and spread your toes. Place them back down on the ground. Final time, listen. Okay, and actually listen. If your body's moving in space, try to lift your toes without having your shoulders or your feet rock, okay? So find that groundedness. Try to just lift all 10 toes without the body moving at all. Just the toes lift, good. Keep them spread wide. Place them down on the ground and then look down. Were you able to create space between your toes? So we're going for space between each toe. I got a little, maybe a little space, but that's something you can work on. Now take the tops of your toes, press them down into the mat a little bit, like little suction cups, like a tree frog. Notice the knuckles. Don't curl the toes under. Press the bottom pads into the mat. Draw the toes back. See if you can feel the arches lift. Feel the inner thighs turn on. Feel yourself grow taller as you grip with your toes. Start to feel the glutes turn on and your heart lifts. Drive your arms down to your side, strong mountain pose. And then release the toes and let go. I have one more challenge for today. You'll see it on the toe cam next week. But watch this. Big toes push into the floor. The other 4 toes lift up. Now it's going to change. Press your 4 toes down and lift your 2 big toes up. So if you have my video pinned, I know, I see people smile. This is a fun challenge. Now press your big toes down, lift 4 other toes up. And then press your 4 toes down and lift your big toes up. So that's your homework for this week. You can play around with your big toe and 4-toe challenge or your great toe and your 4-toe challenge. And report back. And so what I used to do when I learned these toe challenges is I would sit at the sit on the couch when we watched a movie, and I'd have my feet up at the coffee table and I'd be playing with my toes, pushing toes down, lifting toes up, trying to find the muscle and connect to it and hold it. So hopefully you can have fun learning to connect to your toes too. So it's 11:45. It is a pleasure, or maybe it's 12:45, a pleasure and an honor to share this practice with you. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Looking so forward to it.